One of the Cubs' top prospects is off to a tremendous start in AAA Iowa, and he's knocking on the door. We mentioned this guy before, but he's really doing it right now. Will the Cubs be interested in promoting Moisés Ballesteros to be a DH? Think about it. We're going to talk about why that's a possibility. And also the Cubs front office criticized for optioning Matt Shaw by a former big league executive. We'll talk about that as well right here on the Cubs baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, all those things. Let's get the party started. Great to see you guys. It's a great day. It's a game day. That makes it a great day. Go Cubs. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie here on the Cubs baseball channel, and I love talking Cubs baseball with you guys, and I appreciate you watching the shows. I can't tell you that enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If this is your first time, look, I've been a Cubs fan since '84, and been with the organization since '07, and yeah, I'm a fan. Look, I wanted the team to win. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not some guy that they're bringing in from some other place and I'm going to pretend that I like the Cubs. No, I love the Cubs. And when they win, it's great. And when they lose, it's heartbreak city. And I've had a lot of that over my lifetime with these guys. But anyway, let's get this show started. Let's do a little bit of Cubs baseball talk right now. And I want to get it going with this guy here. His name is Moisés Ballesteros. He is one of the Cubs' top 5 prospects. On my list, I'd say, you know, if Mick Gillespie had a prospect list, he would slot in under Matt Shaw and Cade Horton and Owen Casey, who I would put number 1. So I'd put this guy at number 4. I think that's where a lot of people in, you know, the grading players and scouting would put this guy. And he is pushing the Cubs right now to give him a chance. Let me tell you about Ballesteros, okay? First off, hitting for him has never been that difficult. He's a 5'8", 215-pound hitter, and they've tried to get him to become a good catcher, and he just didn't have the body for it. But a lot of people feel like he is getting there and that he worked really hard to kind of slim up since the 5'8", 215, which is I'm reading right now. I've been told that he's thinner than that, though. He's from Venezuela. He's a really smart player. He's a left-handed batter and a right-handed thrower. And finding a position for him to play has been a lot more difficult than him hitting. And there's only a short amount of time now before he'll be in the big leagues and he'll be batting. He's a 283 career minor league professional hitter. This year, though, in his first 15 games in Iowa, the guy's batting .368 with 2 home runs and 6 batted. And that's coming off of a season where he hit just a tick under 300 and had 9 home runs and 43 knocked in Double-A last year, then followed it up in Triple-A and hit 281 with a 340 on base percentage, and had 10 home runs and 35 runs batted in. So what does that mean? That means that the guy hit 290 with 19 home runs and 78 runs batted in. Now, the Cubs could definitely use that in the major leagues right now. He plays first base. I just don't think at 5'8" you're playing a lot of first base. I just don't. He's a catcher. And I think that this is a viable position for him defensively. He's just got to keep on improving. He's got to put the work in, which I'm told he is. I mean, he's right on the cusp of being someone that the Cubs have on that roster at the major league level. And it puts a lot of pressure on Miguel Amaya and Carson Kelly, who have played, by the way, really, really good this year. Okay. But they have to. When Kelly was hit by a pitch and hurt a couple of days ago, if he would have went on the IL, I feel that it would have been Ballesteros that they would have brought up. But the other thing, though, I'm looking at Ballesteros and I'm going, what about the DH spot, right? Left-handed batter. Right now it's been Seiya Suzuki that's been the DH. But, you know, if you find a spot for this guy on the roster, you could match up a little bit better with the lefty-righty punch at that DH spot. And I'm not saying that you wouldn't use Seiya, but maybe he plays the outfield those days. You give somebody off. But it gives you some roster and some lineup flexibility to have him there. The other thing is that he's coming. Like, this guy's coming. Now, could he be the key in a trade to get a Sandy Alcantara from the Marlins, with other teams even mentioned in that conversation, including the New York Yankees, the Cubs have the prospects to do it. But would you really want to trade this guy to the Marlins or some other team when you got him under control and he's an excellent hitter and, has the potential to be someone that could, be a real thorn in the side of any lineup that would have to face him? He's got great hands and great eye coordination. And it was like he got a lot of hits and then he was challenged. Hey, well, why don't you hit some more power? And all he did was do that. And then he's kind of just continued that this year at Iowa. So this is a guy to keep an eye on. I feel like he's right on the cusp of getting that opportunity. And I think that not only the catcher position, but also the DH spot for him. I don't see him as a first baseman just because of his size. And he's not terrible defensively at first, but he's definitely not at the caliber of a Michael Busch. But this is a guy to watch. He's an exciting prospect for the Cubs. And then when you see him going out there and putting up those kind of numbers, I mean, those would be good softball numbers. And I know it's a small sample size, but he's just following up what he did last year, right? So if you can hit 368 through 15 games, at the AAA level, when you hit, last year 290 and you hit those 10 home runs, I think you're saying, hey, how much of this do you want to waste in the minor leagues? And how much of it do you want to have in the big leagues? And I think that his issue isn't going to be hitting. I think he's a better hitter than Matt Shaw, who got to the big leagues. I think he's a better hitter than Gage Workman. Obviously, they play third base. Shaw was optioned, and that's the next thing I want to talk about on the show. But anyway, keep an eye on Ballesteros. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is this, is that Jim Bowden, who is on MLB Radio, writes in The Athletic. I remember when he was the GM of the Reds. He's really good on the air, and it's because he's not afraid to give opinions. Now, you don't have to agree with those opinions, but why do we like certain people that we like? Because they tell you what they really think. They're not up there just trying to impress us with their ability to skirt questions and answers. No, it's that, hey, here's what I think, and here's why I think it. And that certainly is the case for him. And in his talk about Shaw being sent down, he made some great points, some points that stuck with me too, because I felt the exact same way. He basically said if the Cubs brought him to the big leagues, it's the toughest pitching that he's ever had to face. And he's facing it every single game, every single at bat, from the first inning to the ninth inning. Why would you expect him to do anything but struggle? And it's only 20 games. I mean, you got to give the guy a chance to figure it out. And if you were only going to give him a 20 game sample size, why didn't you just leave him in the minor leagues? Now he's in the minor leagues, and then we're going to bring him back eventually. But you're not going to see that same type of pitching in Iowa. And for him, and I know that Jed Hoyer said this, and I could tell that's what Jim was talking about on his show. Basically, that Shaw needs to get back to that short, quicks to the ball swing. I think all of us think he's going to hit. You guys, and I've said this before on this show, we used to always wonder why it took so long for the prospects to get to the big leagues, right? I mean, unless it was like Pryor Wood or something, but it was you hear these guys would get drafted and it would take a long time to get there. And the reason why is that their game wasn't ready to be there. Shaw was too young to be in AAA and too inexperienced to be in AAA last year. They needed to slow him down, just like they needed to slow Pete Crow Armstrong down. If you're only going to give a guy 20 games, then you might as well go ahead and slow him down in the minor leagues. Let him fail. Because what happens is they'll go through a month or two, and then they'll just push him up before the league has a chance to make an adjustment on him. Even the great players, when they came through, struggled the second time around seeing a team. Maybe sometimes in this league, in the Southern League, in the Cubs AA League, it could be 3 times you play a team. They're going to know what your weaknesses are. Now with technology, that's even magnified. And you can't go to AA, AAA, any of the leagues, and simulate what you're going to see at the major league level with the pitching that you're getting there. So if you say that this guy's your third baseman, then you need to stick by him. And when we talk about all of these other guys that had success and failed, That's a lot of times the organization's like, hey, we're gonna stick by him. I think this though, okay, and I think it would have made it a lot easier had they just gotten out of the way, dealt with it, and at least given him. I felt like Matt Mervis the last time got a really good sample size, and just couldn't do it. Right. 20 games to me isn't enough either. I agree with that. I think that when you're moving guys from AAA to the big leagues, it just is the way that you've watered down the minor leagues now. And the big league with the technology and the, basically how good the players are there, you're going to have to just sit there and let those guys grind it out. And we saw it with Pete Crow Armstrong. And look, he's one of the most exciting players in the league, but it didn't start like that. Remember, he went 0 for 23, 24. He couldn't do anything but play defense at the beginning of the year. And then now we're starting to see, hey, the guy can hit, which I told you he could hit the whole time. It just was going to be an adjustment for him. So, I hear that now. But anyway, my point is this, and I'm going to take up for the Cubs on this. They can say all they want to say about going back and working on the swing and making contact and all of that stuff. To me, this is just numbers. I mean, if you can't send Gage Workman back, you needed another pitcher. So they could have made it a little less about him failing and a little bit more about the numbers game. Hey, look, we can't send him back because if we send him to the minor leagues, we're going to lose him to the Tigers, and we needed the extra pitching, and then leave it at that. Instead of getting into all this other stuff about, making contact and being overpowered and all of that stuff. A guy's first 20 games in the big leagues when he was in college 2 years ago looked like what he's looking at right now. And as long as he played defense, which I think he was doing a pretty good job of, and getting on base with the walks, you deal with it. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully he comes back and he's ready to go. All right, Cubs game playing at Wrigley. Day game on Friday. You got to love those. Got to love those. And some of you guys are probably watching the show after that. But I love the Friday day games. I want to go do this show there at Wrigley for a Friday day game beforehand, or maybe afterhand. I don't know. But like, subscribe, get in the comments section. Love seeing you guys on a daily basis and talking Cubs. Tell me what you think. Hey, what would you do with Shaw? Would you have left him up there? Do you think Jim Bowden's got a right to criticize the Cubs front office? Do you feel like that the Cubs front office kind of has their back up against the wall this year, just trying to save their jobs? Or do you think this was a justified move? Anyway, we'll get back at it again. And also, Moisés Ballesteros, remember, I'm telling you, this guy can hit. It's going to be, you're going to turn around, somebody's going to get hurt, and he's going to be in the big leagues. He's going to hit, and he's never going to go down. He's got a little bit of that Kyle Schwarber in him where you're looking at him and you're going, hey, this is one of the best left-handed hitters out there. And he's in the minor leagues, and the Cubs have him. All right, guys, thanks for hanging. Go Cubs.